Y'all make sure to hit the like and subscribe button. And also, if you're on Instagram, hit the follow.
Men cannot graduate till a woman breaks your fucking heart. That is your diploma. It either kill you or make you fat. I'm talking about that heartache where your motherfucking heart be, ooh, hurting and shit, and you can't even listen to music. Shit remind like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. That reminds me of my lady. She got a nose just like Rudolph.
Men have very few options when it comes to that situation. And the worst pain a man could feel, especially a good man, is that he was being good to a woman while she was being bad to him. Oh, that's a very, very tough pain to deal with. When you're trying to show virtue and value in marriage, and then you find out that the other half of your marriage doesn't appreciate it, doesn't see it as a value, doesn't see it as what it is, which is a bond, a commitment, a show of loyalty and faith. It hurts to think that you've been duped by someone like that. But a lot of times, if you look back, you duped yourself. Being at the club, being sidewalk pimping and all that, you duped yourself. You was killing yourself. You just didn't see it because you weren't taking the proper channels to obtain a spouse.
How old are you?
31.
And your ex-husband did what?
He's a doctor. He's a psychiatrist.
And how long ago were you married?
Up until 3 years ago.
How much older was your husband than you?
We'll say 35 years.
So he's 53.
Currently, yes.
Why'd y'all divorce?
My husband got sick with cancer, and that changed him, and it changed the dynamics of our marriage.
Is he in remission?
Yes, he is.
And who filed for divorce?
I did.
Why?
He became mentally, emotionally, and financially abusive.
He took care of you just fine up until he got sick.
Correct.
And then when he was fighting for his life, you became a snowflake. Did you have to work when you were married?
No, but I chose
No, you didn't have to. No. You chose, but you didn't pay no real bills. You didn't have no skills. Knock it off. I'm gonna be honest, ma'am. This is a whole mess. So even the way you're talking, it just sounds like, ugh. And how tall are you?
I'm 5'4".
How much do you weigh?
180.
Goodbye.
I wanted to hit y'all up about an old saying called, and it goes, waste not, want not. And what I wanted to do is put that in the perspective of relationships. If you have a strong sexual desire and you are in a relationship, you should try to fulfill that desire within your relationship. You shouldn't waste your spouse. Find ways to keep that alive and going. Because once you waste them and you go somewhere else, you say, I don't want that anymore. Once you're alone and everything is going bad, you're going to reminisce on the good that you had with that person, that you wasted a good relationship with that person to get with a nothing. If God blesses you with someone, treat them like you are grateful to have them, or otherwise you're wasting them. And once they're gone, they're gone. They usually don't return out of when a marriage breaks up. The only people usually get back together are people who are going to divorce again because they didn't fix the original problem. But yeah, if you waste what you have, you will regret it eventually. If you use what you have to your advantage and for the purpose that it's supposed to be used, usually you will fare well in life. It's when you become ungrateful for your blessings that you become regretful.
Somebody comes along, not you, ladies, somebody comes along to your happy home and tries to tell you, I got some news for you. You shut that shit down. Because that man came to you as an agent of chaos. He didn't come to you as a brother. You don't know what his issue is with your husband.
Ever. Never think that what you have is less than what someone else has. Because no matter how the other lady looks, how the other guy looks, they have one head, two arms, and two legs just like everybody else. In most cases. But there is nothing that they can do for you. They may know other tricks or whatever that could happen, but you could teach that to your woman or to your man. Women, I don't really suggest that y'all teach your man too much stuff unless you teaching them because you're seeing it somewhere else. But if you teach them on the fly, they're going to be like, where'd you learn this at? It's going to cause a problem, believe me. But just be grateful for what you have and don't waste time, because that's the only thing we have until death is time. So don't waste your spouse, and you won't want one. Treat your spouse like they are valuable, and conceal them, protect them, and do what you have to do to maintain them. Waste not, want not is a forgotten saying, but it can be used throughout the sphere of life.
Number two is pretty privilege. Women actually go into the relationship using their beauty and sexual access as leverage. And men need respect to feel loved, submission from his woman. They overlook that and just use the pretty as what they bring to the table. Reason number three is that you may just be for the streets.
Wisdom for my progeny was first supposed to be just wise sayings of things I learned throughout my life that I was going to teach my progeny. Those who were to come after me who might not have had a father or, a strong mother who knew the moral values of life and would impart them to their child. So I enacted this to try to leave some type of wisdom. And one of the things I've seen is very prevalent right now is the talk of modern women and femininity and independence and the manosphere and masculinity and all these type of things. Basically things that people all have their own opinion about. So I will impart wisdom that I have learned through my time to my progeny to try to help them through the hardships of decision making. Or where there's doubt, they can kind of rely on someone's wisdom, someone who's been through it, to give them advice that they can actually adhere to. One of the things I'm imparting today is if you have a friend and you are in a relationship with a woman or you're in a relationship with a man, husband and wife, don't have a single friend around who has had their heart broken. Because they know how much you trust your spouse without having had your heart broke. They know how much you believe your spouse without having had your heart broke. Because they had theirs broken, misery loves company, they want you to share in this pain. And they have no problem being the pin in your cushion. Keep them away from your spouse, keep them away from your relationship. Don't talk about your relationship with them, because the more you say you had a good relationship and they've been hurt before, they become jealous and angry that you sharing your good and they've been through so much trauma. Just don't do it. As a practice, try not to even speak with the gender about anything. But your friends, don't tell them anything about your relationship, good or bad. They ask how everybody's doing. Say, all praise be to God. Everything's all right. Give no detail. Speak on nothing. Because a lot of times when they ask about stuff like that, they're looking for tidbits of information they can use in the future when they talk to your spouse. Just be very vigilant when you have people around your family. Because just because they seem like a friend doesn't mean that they are. Like I said, if you meet them and they doing 304 stuff, that's what they want to do. So just be very careful when you pick a spouse. Go ahead and let a family member vet them. And if You could sleep with them before they ever meet anybody in your family, any of your friends, and that's not somebody you want on your arm. You feel me? Because all that's going to happen is you're going to be walking around one day and you're going to hear a whole bunch of giggling. They wondering how she got wifed up. They telling stories amongst each other about how they tossed her up. But if you go through the proper channels to get a spouse, you won't have that problem. And brothers and sisters, any woman who will have sex in a car outside of marriage, because sometimes people do that to spice up their marriage, outside of marriage, is either giving it away for free or selling it. There ain't no other reason to have sex in a car. If she's not married to the man she's having sex with in the car, she's giving it away for free. And if she's not giving it away for free, it's prostitution. She's selling herself. And if you girls say, I'm not giving it away for free, he bought me a bag, he bought me dinner, he did all this for me, then you put yourself in the category of prostitution. He paid for your body. So when you do things like this and people know about it, what happens then is you become a fun girl. No one is supposed to wife you, no matter how bad you think they're supposed to, or how bad you want them to. They are not supposed to wife you because you gave it away for free or you sold it. Either way, that's not a virtuous woman. That's not a woman you want to bring home to your mother. That's not a woman you want on your arm in the street. For guys to walk down the street and be like, oh man, I banged her in my back seat the other day or in her back seat the other day. Nobody want that. This is K Progeny here to bring a little wisdom, well, more so my opinion through life learned experiences. And I want to impart them to my future family, my grandchildren, my great-great-grandchildren, and my children. There are two types of women that I've come to know that you shouldn't marry. And one is any woman who says she thinks like a man. For one thing, she's not a man. She don't know how a man actually thinks. She is perceiving how a man thinks through her interactions with men. And most of the time when they say that, their interactions with men were with cheaters, or with promiscuous men, men that they couldn't batten down. So then they take on the mentality, I would rather be the cheater than the cheated on, because they believe that's what men think. Another one is any woman you sleep with and immediately she is willing to give you all three holes. There is nothing left to conquer there. And you don't know how many men have been in every orifice of her body. So I would recommend that you didn't marry these types of women. Matter of fact, I'd recommend that you don't even come in contact with these types of women. But if you happen to come in contact with them, know that it is, if you're not trying to marry them, it's a sin. And if you do mess with them, don't batten it down. Don't try to make it yours, because what you will actually be doing is setting yourself up for failure and a life of misery.
Women, in my opinion, have lost their motherfucking mind. Like, ever since they've gotten freedom to do things, and their freedom comes from wicked people. Trust me. All the things you're able to do, wicked people enabled you to do it so you can destroy your neighborhoods and everything. I'm talking to all women of the Western world here in America. Your freedom has destroyed not only your neighborhoods, not only the family, you have destroyed you.
So man, be very choosy with the person that you get with. Analyze them to death before you give them that ring. Because if they gave it away for free before, the ring ain't gonna make them become a committed, loyal person. The ring is not magical. It doesn't have powers. It doesn't put on a chastity belt once the ring goes on there. And the moral fiber of the woman that you're messing with, who was giving it away for free without a ring, hasn't changed because you gave them a ring. What changed is she feels for you right now. You are the man right now. So therefore, she's going to give you the bulk of her sexuality. That's what's happening. But once that ambiance of that sex and who you are and who she's with wears off, she's going to go back to her fun girl status. She's going to go back to dropping her drawers at the command of any man who wants to get up in her drawers. You guys have to...
Real traditional women, if you Google it, the family before me. Traditional women believe that family and legacy is more important than their own personal happiness. If you don't believe this, then you are not a traditional woman. You have a modern mindset because you believe that your happiness is above the family's. So if you're not happy in a marriage and you leave, that's a modern mindset. Traditional women, they're like ride or die, it's thick and thin.
Divorce is a Ponzi scheme. In 2014, did you know the women that made it to the 100 richest list, only 2 made their money with their own skills? The rest, the other 98 women, divorce. Stop the cap. You ain't out there grinding and getting money. Y'all are marrying dudes. And after they've put their sweat and equity into thinking this was forever, following the 80% of women are the initiators of divorce rule, y'all ran out there, got divorced, and then took half of that man's money, alienated from his children. Stop the cap. You ain't build nothing. You came to steal and destroy. Red flag.
This is K Progeny with more wisdom for my progeny. Y'all go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. And if you're on Instagram, hit the follow for me. Much appreciated. This topic is on men and women. Pretty much the same topic. Men and women who cheat, who are married, who commit adultery. It's not really called treating. It's called betrayal and disloyal. But a lot of times when a man cheats with a married woman, first of all, his approach to her, he had to see something in her character that said that she would be okay with him sleeping with her. But usually when they do this, they start sleeping with this woman and she's being real submissive sexually. This is what he's missing in other relationships, or he might not even be getting it at all. So he's willing to show up at odd times. She's willing to show up at odd times. And they make this happen. And that's because they will show up. The other person feels like this is a show of love or dedication. But as soon as they try to make this horrible, adulterous relationship work and get together, then they find out why they were in the streets in the first place. Because they were bad to their spouses. Then they find out that the submission and all the loving and kissing that was going on starts to dissipate. Because now you got to deal with them one-on-one like an adult. You guys will have natural problems, bills and other things. And when the arguments hit, then you will see. Once you anger the woman, basically, you make a woman mad, she's going to show her true colors. And once that argument happens, most men run. Because now she is no longer seen as this sexually submissive kitten. She's seen as this combative, bull-faced woman.
You cheat on your husband, but you faithful to me? Don't make no sense. You told God you love that man. I know you don't give a fuck about me.
We know that when God created the heavens, he also created the hell. And the angels said, and this is coming from an Islamic perspective, surely anyone who sees the paradise will want to go. And anyone who sees the hellfire won't want to go there. It says that the one who gets the least in paradise will swear he got the best. And the one who gets the least punishment in the hellfire will swear he got the worst. At the end of this race, there's a consequence or a reward. You have to be mindful of that. And you can't cross the finish line without the judge okaying your crossing. And Holcomb is the most just judge, that is God. And there will be nothing left out of your record. Not a thought, not an action, not nothing you did in private, under the covers, under the cover of darkness. Everything will be presented. How will you fare then? Will you look like the good sport or the bad sport? Will you be terrified at the time of death, or will you be happy and elated that you have done a good job? It ain't all about relationships. There's a bigger picture that we're not focused on that is allowing people to end their lives in trauma and in bad ways. And the only way to fix it is to give them the right way. Stop talking about, well, we have to address the problem, but we can't make the problem all that we talk about. We have to talk about the solution, and the solution is returning to trying to obey God's laws. They are there as a safeguard. I'm going to repeat this over and over again. Look at what disobeying God's laws does to people. Just check it out. One day I'm gonna sit down and go through all of them and try to show you as many things that happen when you disobey God's laws that punish you. And it's not God punishing you, it's you punishing you by not obeying what you're supposed to obey. If I tell you that this slicer will cut off your hand if you stick your hand under it, and you stick your hand under it, whose fault is it? You were warned, and you still did it. So it says that when people are in the hellfire, they will call out to the gatekeeper of the hellfire, and they will say, go to our Lord and ask him to relieve us for just a moment. And the keeper of the hellfire will say, did not someone warn you during your life about this? And they will say, yes. And he will say, you will have no relief. Your punishment will be continuous, and it will have no breaks. Y'all do what's good. I'll holler.